Hello, we're going to look at a couple of supplemental articles that I have out there for Module 4. This is sort of post-textbook information. Of course, it goes along with it because it's ETSU's internal audit plan. So let me share with you some information that's out there on D2L. The first one here under the video lecture for Chapter 15, we see P cards and timekeeping. That's purchase cards or pro cards and timekeeping. You can see the Board of Trustees sitting here. Looks like Dr. Nolan and Mr. Niswonger. There's Senator or Lieutenant Governor Ron Ramsey. I'm not sure. That looks like Dr. David Golden, who's the Chair of Excellence in our building. And I'm not sure who the other folks are. That looks like, I can't think of his name. Smith, maybe. Public Relations, possibly. But let's pull up that link there. And this is something that came up in not that long ago. It's like, well, it's not June 14, 2021. There it is, April 25th, 2019, a little over 2 years ago. And this audit by internal audit found a former ETSU director bought musical equipment with university expense card. Pro cards or P cards, purchasing cards is what they're usually referred to. Something that's used a lot in companies. I know we had them at Exide, Lear. That was sort of after the fact, or when I was at Nuclear Fuel, that didn't really exist, but that gets pushed down from the corporate level for departments to use to buy things. But the danger there is, from a control standpoint, is people will accidentally buy personal items with their P card, saying, well, I thought it was my credit card. I didn't realize it was a company card. Of course, they'll tell you it's unintentional, but sometimes it is intentional, and this obviously was intentional. Looks like if you read through this, that Russell charged $17,322 worth of personal purchases. And also here, the timekeeping side of this says the investigation revealed Russell failed to report more than 830 hours of annual sick leave from August 2015 to January 2019. So 3.5 years, and those dollars associated with not being on site doing their function and being paid for time off was $46,927. It's a total question cost. I guess the 17 plus whatever that was is 46,000. So yeah, that's Joe Smith. That's who the other gentleman was there in that picture. Kind of a short article. If you want to go up here and play that, you can. I believe that's a video. Maybe the other link is a video. But nonetheless, that was something I wanted to share with you before we finally look at the audit plan that ETSU has. So again, let me share that screen there. And let's go back to this link to D2L. The ETSU audit plan. And they've got this set up rather nicely, and how you can click on the various parts of this, because this is a rather long 126 pages article or audit committee from April 24th. So the first thing here, if you click on the annual review of the charter, that's required. And this Rebecca Lewis, she is the CAE, as we've been reading about in this textbook, Chief Audit Executive. They must have a charter, as we saw in previous chapters. Audit committee charter reports to the board of directors. Internal audit charter that goes into the purpose and the mission, the authority. I encourage you to read this because this is a real world example here at ETSU, along with the internal audit website. Responsibilities, also you have the Tennessee Comptroller's Office involved. Get big enough. Understand the scope and approach used by state auditors, because you want to make them happy. The external auditors as well who are involved. And then of course internal audits. You got 3 things going on here. as far as audit of things at ETSU. So I'm not going to read that to you, but I strongly encourage you to do that on your own. Going down here to the bottom, I just need to go back to the top and click on it. Preventing and reporting fraud, waste, or abuse. Responsibilities there. If anyone sees anything, to notify authorities. Conflict of interest policy. These need to be disclosed if you're in a situation like that, or know of something going on that is a conflict of interest. Revisions to the audit plan. Addition, Center for Excellence in Math and Science, Quality Assessment Review. Not sure what all that's about. Then the next part's the interesting part. Audits and investigations performed to the audit committee. And all this is public information. It's not like I've got something out there people shouldn't see. The audit women's soccer expenditures, audit of women's soccer within the past says they conduct these audits at the end of the head coach at the end of their employment. The head coach had resigned. Evaluate the adequacy of internal controls, determine compliance with university policies. So there must not have been anything associated with that was negative. Honors college timekeeping. NACHA, National Automated Clearinghouse, and internal medicine as well. All right, so here's then is the report. What their introductions, what the objectives were, adequacy of the internal controls, compliance with the university policies and procedures, any deficiencies, making recommendations for correcting deficiencies or improving operation. There's that efficiency and effectiveness. Women's soccer team traveled to Annapolis, Maryland for a away game, September 2019. Discrepancy in amount paid for lunch was discovered for the team meal en route to Maryland. Number of meals charged was more than the number of individuals on the roster. $33.91 was questioned. The restaurant erroneously overcharged for meals. Pretty specific, isn't it? Management should continue to review pro card charges during the reconciliation process to ensure overpayments do not exist. Employees of a university that are spending company funds treat it like it's their own. Is the point. Pretty minor. Payroll, timekeeping, honors college. What was going on there? There were 2 instances in which the timesheet was not present. There were 13 instances in which overtime was not approved for non-exempt employees. All right, overtime's a big deal, meaning employees must have just worked it without getting approval prior to working it. That a non-exempt employee worked an excessive number of overtime hours in August 2019. Not required by ETSU, but instead requested by the employee. NACHA. You can stop the video and read that on your own in the interest of time. And so here's a summary of the investigation completed between February and March 31, 2020. Internal medicine. A professor did not adhere to the policies and procedures established by NIH and university. Grants, insufficient or non-disclosure of other financial support, overcommitment of time, insufficient employment of ETSU students, inappropriate use of grant funds. Controls and procedures have and will be put into place to ensure NIH and university policies are adhered to by ETSU personnel. All right, here's a heat map. You know, we looked at something similar to this in the text. Of course, every entity, business entity or whatever it might be, university has a different way that they want to show what's green and what's, well, upper right is not really red, burnt orange. But the grade of internal control weaknesses, obviously the further out you go to the right, the more significant it is. And then on the left is the significance of the issues noted, and then the right is the grade. So obviously as you get up toward the top and far right, the more important it is. So the internal medicine was a big deal, probably because it was related to grants from either state, which may have been federally funded through the state. The honors college timekeeping was somewhere in the middle, probably not that big a deal. Look at the other two, women's soccer expenditures, the $33.81 from that one incidence where they paid for 29 meals. There's only 27 on the trip. That is pretty minor, isn't it? And then the NACHA. So there's 4, and you can look at each of these audits year over year. They're all out there. But that's good to show the heat log here, as they call it, or heat map. There's a internal audit recommendation log, obviously green, down at the bottom green. Actions are progressing. Blue, actions are completed. Yellow, overdue. Red, way overdue. So they don't have anything there, do they? Everything's green and blue. That's a good thing. You can read each of those on your own. Stop the video and look at that if you like, or just click on it, read it at your leisure. I think the rest of this is the audit report, which is they group in with this for whatever reason. But most like we looked at was First Tennessee Development District. No findings. That's always good. That's at the beginning and not the end, as we saw with First Tennessee Development District. There's the management discussion and analysis. You'll probably have to do one of those at some point in your career. So it gives an overall snapshot of what's going on with entity. This one looks like starts on page 6, 7, 8. Where does it end? Did I miss it? I think I passed it. Usually about 5 or 6 pages. I think we've gotten into the statements, but maybe not. 19 minus 6, that's 14 pages. Not sure the management discussion analysis probably ended up here somewhere. It gives you a good snapshot of what's going on. So what else was in here? Back to the top. There's an executive session to discuss active audits and enterprise risk management. You know, that's a key part of internal audit, correct? All right, I didn't want to end the semester without looking at a real world audit plan and how some of this stuff that we've learned about shows up, like at ETSU. The investigations that go on, the findings, keeping the log, making sure these things are being looked at. You know, BCS does the same thing with their clients, like with First Tennessee Development District. All these CPA firms do that. So how'd you progress from last time to this time? Are you working on it, or is it still in progress. So again, thank you for your time, and I wish you well.